when you go to buy a car, you get lots of paperwork, right, Vic? Lots of paper. And among those papers, you get a warranty that will last for X number of months or X number of miles. But you get this warranty, and if anything goes wrong, they promise they'll fix it. You know, when you buy a new phone, you get a warranty with the idea that if anything goes wrong, it'll be fixed. Somewhere along the line, even though we are used to warranties, we tend to think that it's true of everything, and it's not. You know, you can't even get an extended warranty on baptism. I've looked at the certificate, and nowhere on the certificate does it say that there is a guarantee that nothing bad will happen. There is no guarantee that now life will be easy because, well, I've given my life to the Lord and He'll take care of things, you know? But I've had people say to me, Father, I don't know why this is happening. Why is God doing this to me? You know, why would God let this happen? As if somehow their baptism was a guarantee that nothing bad would happen. And I have to tell you, there is no warranty that comes with baptism. There is no insurance even, just the assurance that the Lord will be with us through it all. That when we are baptized into Christ Jesus, as St. Paul tells us, we're baptized into his life and his death and his resurrection. We're baptized into him, and he will be with us through it all, but not protect us from everything. That's not the guarantee. No, he assures us he will be with us through every difficulty, every trial, that he will be with us. That's the promise. That's what we put our faith in. Now, Jesus in the gospel talks about that we will receive our reward. A reward that comes from trusting him, but it is not that things will be good, but rather that he will take care of us. And you know, I've seen that in my own life. I first started that back in 1976. Back in January of 76, I went to Tecumseh. Somebody picked me up and took me down there, and I went on a retreat that's called a Cursillo. A Cursillo is a Spanish name. It was created in Spain, in Mallorca, in 1949, and was done in Spanish until 1969, when it came to the United States. And the first English-speaking Cursillo was held at St. Casimir's in Lansing, and that's where it started. Cursillo means a short course in Christian living. And it's an interesting kind of retreat because it starts on Thursday and goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it patterns itself after the Last Supper, the death, and resurrection of the Lord. And there's a series of talks. Most of them are given by lay people, and it's just about how to put our faith and trust in God, what we can expect from God, and how God has acted in the lives of so many others and calls us to be attentive to find that for ourselves. I was going to be a deacon following that in the following November, so it was 10 months before I would be ordained. And somewhere between that January and that November, I had to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to follow through. And I have to tell you, the Cursillo was fine. I really appreciated it. There were a lot of good things said, most of which I don't recall anymore. But what I do remember is the end, because all of a sudden it all came together. At the end, which is called the clausura, again, they use Spanish terms, they have kind of a summary at the end where all of those who participated are invited to say how the experience touched their lives. And so there is this little lectern, and it was held in the gym of St. Elizabeth of Tecumseh. And what I didn't know was there would be people there besides the rest of us who would participate. For whatever reason, when I came in, I was very Catholic. And I walked in and I sat in the very last row, the very last chair. And they said, you don't have to say anything, and so I was determined not to. And yet, speaker after speaker got up, and each one of them walked up to the lectern, and they picked up a small crucifix like this. In fact, it's almost exactly like this, that was laying there on the podium. And all through the weekend, every speaker that spoke held this in their hand. And now, one by one, the other men who were part of the weekend got up and they talked about what it meant to them. And I watched row after row. And it came down to me, and I was the last one, and I thought, I have no idea what I would say. But I couldn't not get up, you know. Everybody else had. And they were all looking at me, and so I got up and I walked up to the lectern and I picked up the crucifix and I said, my name is Dave Howell. And all of a sudden, 25 people out in the audience stood up and began to sing to me. And then the rest of the team stood up and began to sing to me. And I was quite overwhelmed at that moment. And it suddenly dawned on me, because I was struggling with whether or not I would be able to follow through on making a promise and living that promise in a way that would be true to the Lord. You know, I didn't trust myself. It wasn't that I didn't trust God so much, but I didn't trust me. I often thought of St. Thomas More's line, better a good husband than another bad priest. Well, there's a lot of wisdom in that. And I just said, you know, I don't think I can do this. And suddenly, when those people began to sing to me, especially knowing that there was an ice storm outside, I realized that these people had made a point of coming down to let me know that they had not only prayed for me over the weekend, but they supported me. And that I didn't need to do this by myself. And suddenly the fifth station of the cross became very alive in my mind as I realized that just as Jesus had Simon to help him carry the cross, there would always be a Simon in my life, that I didn't need to do it alone, that there would be people with me to help me along the way, exactly as Jesus promises. Not that I'll always get it the way I expect, but they will always be there. And certainly that has been true through all of my 46 years since that retreat. It's been true especially in these last days. You know, as people sign up and take me down for radiation treatments, which I thought, oh, I'll be able to do that on my own, and discover that radiation has made me a little more tired than I expected. And so I'm not weaving in and out of traffic, falling asleep on my way back. In fact, this week there were even 2 people who showed up to take me one day. You know, it just kind of, what a gift that people would be so kind. And I think that that's true out there all the time. That's the promise that he made. Not that we wouldn't go through difficult times, not that there wouldn't be struggles along the way or trials, not that the cross would not be a part of our life, but that we would not have to carry it alone. No, something that came to me years ago has kept ringing in my head all through these many last days, these last several months. That the Lord who brought me this far in life will not let me down. And that's what we need to remember, my sisters and brothers, that the Lord who brought us this far in our life, whether it be just a few years or a couple more than that the Lord will never let us down. It may not be always what we want. It may not be what we ask for. But the one who had help carrying his cross will always make sure that we never have to do it alone. The one who brought us this far will never, ever let us down.